Here today bringing you a video on practical self-defense, which is going to be incorporated in the Enzo Academy and a whole series of videos we're going to be putting together on practical and realistic self-defense. Today I'm just going to show a couple wrist locks, a mote yaku, which is Japanese, which translates to an outside wrist lock, and then an inside wrist lock, which is ura yaku. So we're going to start by going over 3 different variations of a mote yaku. If she grabbed my chest again and was going to throw a punch, because statistically that's one of the most common things that can happen in a street encounter if someone's going to try to overpower you and just hurt you in some way. So it'd be something like they're grabbing and then punching. So she's going to grab me, try to throw a punch, I block, and I come back and put her in that mote yaku. Now we'll let her display those same 2 techniques with this outside wrist lock. So I grab, good. Can you just do that again? So what we just did there were three different versions of a mote yaku. The first one was just from a grab. I just want to show the mechanics of that. So what I did was I covered her hand immediately where she can't pull it off of me now. Like I kind of want to put her in that move and kind of trap her here. So then without the punch, if you want to train in this, you simply step and you just turn the wrist outside. You want your thumbs like that on the back. You want to be grabbing the meat of the hands here and just continue to turn while moving your feet and bringing her to the ground. And she's going to try to throw a punch, block. You don't have to go into the face here. I mean, it's a street encounter. Things are going to happen fast and unorthodox, and they're not coordinated like when you're training. Just a punch here. Again, you don't have to do that, but the purpose here is to just come back down and get that wrist turning outside, go to the ground, and bringing her down. And you can apply enough pressure there if you get a person in that position where you can do serious damage clearly to the wrist all the way to the elbow. And then from a knife stab. Now if you noticed, I had my hands out, which they're out, they're not up. And you're gonna hear in most martial arts courses and boxers, and they're not wrong. You should have your hands up. But I came up with a theory in training in Kamae with Bujinkan and the Ninjutsu where my hands are at the side, but they're ready. I'm not just standing here like this in an encounter like a sitting duck waiting for that person to put some energy on me. They're here and they're ready. So she has a knife. So I'm going to put her in that mote yaku, that outside wrist turn. So she's stabbing in. All I did was use my angle. I stepped off, was able to get her hand like that with that fluent motion and turn her outside. Let's go to the ground here. So I brought her down. I just keep applying pressure, so she's gonna let go of that because she feels that pressure on her ligaments, her joints, and the bone potentially snapping there at her wrist. So she's gonna let go of that knife. Or I can have it where I could just pull it out of her hands as well in a scenario like that. So that was Emote Yaku, outside wrist locks, turning that person to the outside. Now we're gonna go over the other variation of a wrist lock going inside, Ura Yaku. So she's grabbing. I'm gonna step off at a 45-degree angle. Now I'm coming up here with my right hand and I'm protecting with my elbow. So say, try to throw a punch, I can deflect that. And again, if this happens in a real-time scenario, it's going to be very fast. We're going slow here for training purposes and learning purposes. So I trapped again with this hand, like with Emote Yaku. I brought my right hand over, put it on the other side of her hand, and I'm just gonna turn her over. And again, now I have her in a finishing pin here with that turn, that inside turn of the wrist. So let's do that again. With just no stoppage. Now we'll show another version of that as well, from a grab. So she's grabbing me. I can also just bring this hand over, slide it up. I'm already on her wrist, on the meat of her hand here, and I just turn it over and bring her down to the ground. And now we're going to let Mariah display that as well. And with the Japanese martial arts, specifically ninjutsu, jujitsu, they're all coupled together. They all originated from jujitsu, which technically means just that it's a Japanese grappling art. They all originated from that. So these movements will work on bigger people because you're manipulating their joints, their weak points here. So I grab. Step off. With the other one. Yeah. Good. Yeah, keep it down. Okay, good. Okay, so there's just a few things I wanted to go over here before we end this video with the inside wrist turn. If I can have Mariah come. I just want you to see how we were grabbing that, where she was grabbing. I was coming over, keeping my elbow up to protect high or low if she tried to punch my stomach. And then just turning it over. So we want to think about angling and distancing when we're doing this as well. Angles, 45. With the Emote Yaku, she grabs, you step off at a 45. So watch this now with this angle I just took. So she tried to throw a punch. She can't reach me because I just stepped at that 45 and out of her range of motion with that. So you're already at an advantage just by taking that 45-degree step there. And then we do the same thing with Ura Yaku. So she grabs. Now I step off away from her. So if she tried to punch me now, I'm off at that angle, but I'm also bringing my elbow up, protecting high. And if she tried to go low, protecting low, well, you're still turning her into that wrist lock, turning her down. And what we want to think of, another thing we want to think about with the angles is if she was coming, say she's coming straight on and she grabs me, and I try to do something like going straight in on her, like, and she's just strong, or say a bigger person, I'm grabbing her and I'm a lot stronger than her, using those angles, going to the ground or hot, whatever. But here we're just practicing moving at a 45-degree angle and manipulating their body. So let's say she puts me or grabs me again. So we're going to do Urayaku. And I'm out here trying to do that. It's not working. She's strong. So I take a step 45 degrees this way, go to the ground. Just changing that angle. So with Urayaku, you want to think of a triangle. You step off, and now you're putting her back into that center point at the top of that triangle. So you step off and then put back right into that center point on the triangle. And that's just going to manipulate her body while her wrist is getting locked. The body's just going to naturally say, go this way or things are going to be broken. It's common physiology. So wanted to go over that. And then I also wanted to go over what we were doing with the knife attack as well. So with a Mote-yaku, again, my hands, they weren't up. The up is good, but I'm kind of presenting that target. Like I'm trained. I know what I want you to do. I know you're going to try to stab me somehow, but I'm presenting this target. She just comes in for a straight stab. I stepped off line again. Just stepped off. I didn't step straight back. She's just going to keep coming in at me, and people can get on you so fast you could lose your balance walking backwards. I step off at an angle. That's more of a 90 degree I just took while grabbing her hand and then putting that outside lock on and turning it out. And you're able to lock the wrist out here where they're either going to drop the knife, or you can just get them in a pinned position where they're restrained and you can just simply take that knife away. So then turning it back the other way now with Urayaku. Again, hands are out, they're ready. So she's stabbing in. Again, I just come up on the arm and I'm turning her wrist in while locking on the elbow and bringing her down. And these movements, putting people in joint locks for movements like this are not easy. From punches, it's very impractical. That's probably never going to happen unless they're just throwing very deliberate, slow punches. Even with a knife, but a knife, you have that in your hand, so the hand's energy has to go into that knife first, not the body. It's transferring to the knife, so it's going to be a little bit slower. A stab coming in is going to be a little bit slower than a punch coming in. So they are possible that way, and it takes a lot of training to be fluid with that. So I would just start slow and simple. We're just trying to go through it methodical, slow and simple, and there'll be a lot more of this coming in the Enzo Academy soon here, and we already have a full course Kibu Jutsu that's already in there as well, but we're going to be bringing more practical and quicker applications of real-time, real-world self-defense scenarios.